Are you ready for progress? Oh, taste and see, there's a word for you and me.
Serving the uncompromising truth makes us truly free.
Open your heart, your mind, your soul, he'll make you whole.
Preaching with power.
It's the Relevant Leadership Strategist.
Well, God bless you, everybody. Hopefully you are ready for brown gravy. I know I am. And tonight is a special night because I get an opportunity to bring back to your front some phenomenal young people. Well, they're not that young anymore. I think we got to stop calling them young because they ain't that young no more. They ain't got to be old people now. They might not like the fact that they old, but they old. It is Millennial Ministry and Miss. Now, we used to do something at our church called Millennial Mondays, and believe it or not, Millennial Monday used to start on Monday. Well, Millennial Mondays, it was on Monday, but it used to start at 9 p.m. And last week we had these superstars on our live broadcast, but it was a holiday, so many of them were working. I mean, it wasn't working, so they could jump on in the noon time and have a conversation. Well, this Monday, of course, is not a holiday, so they couldn't just jump on during the day. They're out there trying to make it work, trying to make it happen. So I asked them if they would come back and let's do it on an evening, a Monday night. Never really even thinking again back through the fact that, well, we used to always do it on Monday nights. It was called Millennial Monday. And so it just kind of worked out. And I got a group of millennials, and one may be joining us a little later. She has a millennial problem, which ain't just a millennial problem, it's any parent problem. And that is making sure that she has someone to watch the babies while she's trying to talk to us so that we could hear her conversation. And so we got guests from last week, and we've added in another guest. He's a nephew of mine, spiritual nephew. We have watched him kind of grow into the things of God. He left this area, moved up to Chicago, and man, doing good things and great things there, connected to a great ministry. And we're certainly happy about that. So let's bring in some of our people that we have. First off, we have the dynamic duo. I call them, the dynamic duo, Delana and Chris and Delana. How are you?
Doing pretty good. How you doing?
Good. Now, if their jaws look like they're full, it's because they're trying to finish eating. Yeah, I'm gonna throw you under the bus like every time. They're trying to finish eating before they talk to y'all. That's why I brought them on first, so they couldn't finish eating, and they be trying to grab food in between conversation. So if you see that camera go off, it's because they're trying to eat. That's all it is. All right. So thank you guys for being with us again. Let's see what your shirt says. What's your shirt say? They twinning again, y'all. I can't do nothing with y'all. I can't. I'm gonna have to call my wife in here. I about feel bad. I don't want to talk with y'all like that. Something got to go on. No, I love you. I appreciate you. Love your uniqueness as well. All right. So we have Chris and Delana. We also have another. Well, I guess he is a nephew. This is a nephew as well. Spiritual nephew. He goes to the church of Overseer Chavis, who is a spiritual brother of mine, part of our Kingdom Fellowship and Ministries family, a banker and all these other good things. The Purpose Fanatic is his name. We have the Deficit Developer. We have the Preaching Prophetic Machine. We have the Deficit Developer. Alan, let's see if we can pull you up on here.
Bishop, how are you, sir? Chris and Delana, how are y'all?
Yeah,
great. Bishop speaking Chinese.
So there's a lag going on. I think he did say something though.
Yep. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm good. Heard you that time. So let me see your shirt.
Oh yes, sir.
Oh, see. Now you about to make me go change my shirt.
Listen, man. We gotta say it, man. We gotta say it.
I went saw the truth way tonight, but I should have. You just smarter than me. That's all.
No.
I'm learning from some greats.
Not by far.
I'm learning from some greats. And so Alan was with us last week. Chris and Delana was with us last week, and we have a newbie. He's a neophyte to the Millennial Ministry and Mess platform, but he's a neophyte not in his information, but just a neophyte in this particular platform. He's a nephew of mine. Again, used to be in North Carolina, now in Chicago, and visiting home for this week or weekend. Rod, come on in, sir. Let me see if I can get you in and get you set with all this lag I got going on. Somebody need to call my internet people and tell them I am not happy with their service. Let's see if we got him. All right, Rod, you there? Y'all hold tight. It'll clear up in a minute.
All right. Can y'all hear me?
He's popping in.
What's up, everybody?
What's up, man?
Listen, Alan, your shirt. I love it, man.
Yeah.
I want one.
Listen, man, we can make that happen. I like yours too, man.
Your soul matters. Absolutely.
That's it.
Bishop, it's good to see you, sir.
Okay, so if he was talking, I didn't hear him, but y'all heard him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear a thing he said. So this is not good.
It's not gonna work like that.
This is not good at all. Say something else again, Rob. Let me see. With your Bojangles cup.
Yes, sir. It's good.
I can hear you now. I can
hear me now. Okay,
Listen,
good.
there is no Bojangles in Chicago.
None whatsoever.
He's getting ready to OD on Bojangles. So if you all see him with a dirty rice coma, it's because he's he's trying to get caught up.
I'm gonna turn the camera off if I gotta eat.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, someone said they love you all shirts. So, again, y'all just beat me, just made me look all bad tonight. It's all right though. I got something for you next week. I'm coming back like I'm avenging. Well, so last week we stopped where we had the Q&A, and the Q&A related to you all asking me questions. I was asking you all a group of questions, and I have a few again this week. But I also wanted to take an opportunity in a moment to give you a chance to ask me anything. I mean, it doesn't have to be related to anything particular. Whatever is on your heart, on your mind now is, or if someone said something to you and they said, "Hey, ask him," you can ask me that as well. So, if you will, I'll sit back and listen.
Okay, so I'll go first.
Okay.
I guess as a pastor and in like a time as this with COVID-19 going on, what has been your greatest struggle as far as pastoring or as far as, church-wise is concerned? What has been like your greatest struggle?
You said through COVID, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's a great question, man. My greatest struggle has been the thing that I kind of live by, and that's love. Now I don't mean that we can't love with how we function now, but one of the major parts of showing love is touch. And when you're unable to see and touch the people you love, it just does something to you. And so one of the greatest struggles I've had is not being able to see the people, see my sheep. Well, God's sheep, but I'm his under shepherd. And so I'm responsible for those souls that are there. And so it's hard that I don't see them. And when I'm able to see them, you know, having to be careful about how you touch them and how you hug and, you know, those kind of things. Man, that's super hard for me because I'm that touchy guy. I mean, some people may feel like I'm not, or I've heard, you know, other people say I look mean. I don't think I look that mean, but they say I do. So I don't look that approachable. I don't know if it's true or not, but I do know that once you get to know me, you know that my heart is to make other people feel love. And that's usually expressed by touch, usually expressed by me just coming near, you know, a smile, you know, those kind of things. And not having that is hard. And so I've been preaching to my laptop. And although it's kind of cool as it relates to convenience, I still miss that human interaction. You know, one of the ways that they use in prison in order to punish someone who is doing something wrong in a wrong place is to put them in isolation. And isolation becomes its own punishment within itself. I'm already locked up. Now I'm isolated from everybody else, and there is no contact. And if you stay in isolation too long, it's scientifically proven, psychologically proven, that you could literally develop brain damage because of the missing element called touch. And so that, man, has been my most difficult thing, navigating through that and keeping the people together. You know, if you're watching me live, you don't necessarily have to be paying me any attention at all. I could be white noise while you're doing other things, juxtaposed to you sitting right there in that building. And it's kind of hard not to pay attention to the thing right in front of you.
Bishop, I love that response. I have a question in regards to the racial climate that we're in, and just like you mentioned, the elephant in the room. I want to just go ahead and talk about the elephant in the room. What quality of leader is needed to kind of handle where our nation is at? And given that we are all millennials and all young leaders in respect to ourselves, what is it that is the quality that's needed in us and through us from a leadership perspective?
So you're starting to act like your pastor. You just gonna jump right in with both feet. We ain't pulling back. We're not gonna warm our way up. It's not warm it up, Chris. Let's just go for it. Let's hit home runs with everything we got. I was gonna kind of warm up into that, but since you asked, the kind of leader. Well, we need competent leadership. Competent leadership. Someone who thinks before they act, juxtaposed to acting before they think. We need competent leadership. Someone who's cerebral enough to bring about not just action, but strategy to take place after an action. It's not enough just to organize a rally for rally's sake without there being a competent leader who has a strategy to match the march. So we need competent leadership. We need compassionate leadership. Someone who can be touched by the feelings of the infirmity of the people. Because if you don't understand the pain, then it's hard for you to give a proper prognosis. I got to understand the pain in order to know how to fix it. And if I'm unable to be touched by that pain, even sympathetically, maybe not even so much empathetically, although I feel like empathy is definitely needed, but at least on the level of sympathy, then I'll never be able to lead during this thick atmosphere of racial injustice. So competent, compassionate, and consistent, that they don't just show up for the moment, but that they're ever present. The scripture says of Jesus, he says that he's an ever present help in the time of trouble. He's ever present. He's always there. So I'm not just coming around because it's the big show or the big stage or the cameras or for photo ops or for political jockeying, because a lot of people who are trying to show up now as leaders are literally only trying to garner votes. So it's more politically charged than it is dealing with the existential plight of the people who are suffering. And so then they have to have a level of consistency as well. So competence, compassion, consistency, and charisma. If we can't believe you, well, say it better, if you can't move us through what you say and how you do and how you act, then we'll still be stuck in the mud. There has to be some charisma attached to this particular leader that can help capture the heart of the people and sing the song that's needed in order to line the troops up in whatever direction they need to go in. I think that's those four, if nothing else, or five, I don't know how many I listed, but those 4 C's I think would definitely help.
Yeah.
With the kind of leader that's needed.
Thank you. I like that response. And when you mentioned about charisma, I started thinking about believability and the ability to sway people and the ability to walk the thing out. But also, you did it. You spoke like a true preacher. You gave us those 4 points and allowed us to kind of capture a leader in an image. And so I want to say thank you for that.
I try, Fred. My friend. I try. Any other questions out there?
Okay. I just want you to speak to something, Bishop. So I know and feel that I personally believe and feel that before you step out and, as we refer to it as occupy, there's some time you need to sit and glean from the leader. But I personally don't have this problem, but I talk to people who do. There's a stigma of millennials wanting to just go and be seen, and because we're in the era of Google, instead of there can be that perception of, oh, they just trying to be seen, and they're not trying to go under their pastor and study under their pastor. They're trying to make it all about them. Or if they make a personal page or whatever it is, they call it to a certain area. What's that balance look like? What's that balance of, the person is not trying to be seen or heard or make it all about them. It's like they're called to a certain space, but they don't want it to seem like they're trying to not honor their pastor and them stepping out to what they feel like they're called to do. So I just want you to kind of speak to it.
Yeah, so I can only hear some of what you said. The mic was just kind of not grabbing all of your voice while you were talking. So you were asking to speak on how maybe the millennials are viewed as hyper aggressive in going after things before they're submitting those things to their pastor.
Well, not necessarily, not like they're not, but they are. But I guess like when they step out into the things that they feel like they're called to, it can look to others as if they're just trying to be seen and make it all about them without honoring their pastor. Some people make it sound like, people make these ministry pages or they're doing this and that. And, I guess stepping out and it can seem as if they're not honoring their leader, but Christians are. So I guess kind of speak to that.
Yeah, a couple of different thoughts are coming to mind. And so, I mean, I don't know. Let me just start talking. I'll say how I started. When I started preaching, um, I didn't make ministry cards. I didn't see when I came up. Everybody was big about getting your cards with your name on it and that kind of thing. I didn't get a card to pass out to people because I just didn't think that it was so much about me in that moment as much as it was about ministry, well, God, ministry, and my leader. And so I preached for a long time without ever having a card. And the only way I ever got engagements was through people who asked my pastor about me, that they didn't even know how to get in touch with me, that they would call him and ask him, can I come to them and preach? And as a side street, another reason why they would call him to ask me is because they saw me serving him, and my service to him caught their eye. And they wanted someone who had that level of servitude and honor to be the one who releases a word in their pulpit. So and these are things they told me. Now I didn't know this, but this is what they told me. And so they called my pastor, and my pastor would let me know that they wanted me to go preach somewhere. And when I stood up, the very first thing I said was, I honor my pastor, Bishop, for allowing me to come here today. I stand as a representation and an extension of him and my church. And then I started preaching. Today, when certain young preachers stand up, they got a whole commercial about everything that they're doing and what they got going on. And you might hear something about their pastor on the back end, if then. And so there's no connectivity to the ground, or at least the stool that one is having the ability to stand on in order to be seen and heard. And so I don't think I ever got a card until I was maybe six years or so in, and it was only because the demand was needed. He couldn't keep taking all the calls, and so I needed to kind of put something in place to where that took place. And so my ability to become a level of itinerant in my preaching was based upon my submission to my leader in that time. It was that gave me the platform and nothing else. And so that kind of mentality is not really prevalent now. Now it's more, let me just go on out there and do what I got to do, and to Hades with waiting for permission, or, you're holding me down kind of thing, and I'm ready to be released. And so I'm just going to do it and then inform the pastor, juxtaposed to asking the pastor. I kind of live by that, really, as a rule of thumb for me. If somebody comes to let me know something that they're already doing, but then ask me my thoughts, I don't have a thought. It's whatever you say. You don't want my opinion. You want now my sanction. But it's hard for me to sanction something that you've already done, and I've not had a chance to think it through to help you make it better. And so my answer is going to always be, oh man, that's great, because you're already doing it. You didn't want my permission, you just wanted my sanction. And so that's kind of the world. That's the world that we're in right now. When I read scripture, that's not the way it was for them. The example that's used more often than not is John to Jesus, or maybe you want to say Jesus to John. So here comes Jesus, who is the savior of the world. He's born, he's growing, he's developing, he's matriculating. He is the Son of God. John rather, is the premier preacher of that moment. He's the first mega pastor. And so he's having a revival, and here comes Jesus walking up. And Jesus could have just went ahead and made the announcement, hey, I'm here, John is good, go ahead and take a seat, you old anyway, and you're hairy. and you eat funny food, you just sit down, because I'm here now, and I don't eat wild locusts and honey. I eat lamb, right? I mean, he could have just went on a whole binge about whatever. And here's this powerful, gifted, talented savior of the world who enters into a room with someone who is considered his elder at that point, silent. He enters in silently. He says nothing until the elder points him out. Jesus never said a thing. It was John who announced the platform for Jesus. And so John turns and says, here's the one. This is the guy to whom shoes I'm not worthy to unbuckle. Man, we all need to be following him. And then here's what Jesus did. Jesus could have took off and went ahead and start his own mega ministry right then, because all of the attention was now given to Jesus. But here's what Jesus does. Jesus takes the spotlight and brings it back to John and stands in the river with John, and the two go back and forth about who's going to baptize who. We're talking about how you launch out into certain things. And so Jesus says, I'm gifted, I'm talented, I'm the answer. You pointed me out, I got the platform, I'm ready, but I still need to submit to you in order for me to sustain what it is I need to do. So he says, baptize me, give me your teaching. I submit myself to your teaching. That's what baptism is, the submission of yourself to a teacher. Baptize me so that I can have the right to walk and begin to function and flow based upon your thumbprint. The scripture says that John was to pave the way. So if he's already paved the way, why am I trying to make another way? See, the whole deal is you can do whatever you want to do, but you would have to end up digging holes and digging up roadways where a father or a leader has already dug. And so instead of you wasting energy to dig, you can use that creativity to build based upon the road the leader has already paved for you. So it's either use your energy to dig your own way, or use your energy to be creative and build, walking the way or the path behind the leader. So Jesus leaves the water, and he begins walking in his own website. But he never came up with his own website until John said, yeah, it's time now. It's time for the world to hear you. See, I think what most people don't understand is now I'm talking about credible leaders. There are some wicked leaders who have issues with people and their gifts. They're so insecure about their own selves that they don't want nobody to look us or be better than them. That's not a father, by the way. That's a fluke. All right. So fathers always want their children better than them, that my ceiling should be their floor or their basement at least. So what seems like you're being held back, like, God, they won't let me do nothing. I mean, I was sitting on this business plan forever or whatever. The holding back is not to break the person. The holding back is to give the person momentum. You ever thought about, you all, I don't know if y'all ever did this, I might be talking to Generation X with this one, but when we wanted to get water, we couldn't come back in the house. So y'all let y'all kids just walk in and out the house. We couldn't do that. When we went outside, that was it. You ain't coming back in the house. If you come back in the house, you're going to either stay in this house or out the house. That's what our parents told us. And so when we got thirsty, we couldn't come in that house going into the refrigerator. That's what we called it. There was no R in it. It wasn't refrigerator. It was the refrigerator. We couldn't go in there. If we wanted water, we had to go to the spigot. That's what they called it, the spigot. We had to go to the thing outside, and the water hose. Well, usually the water outside don't run that hard. So here's what we had to do in order to get a strong flow. we had to put a crick in the hole, right? If you put a crick in the hole, the slow flow comes out harder. So then the whole back was really an opportunity to spring you forth when it was time for release. But if you don't know that, you'll end up making a journey longer than it needs to be because you have a slow flow. But if you let a father crick you for a moment, you'll have a quick start. I don't know if I answered that or not, but yeah, I think that's the whole concept. Now, what most people probably end up doing was following a fool and not a father, and so now they're wounded by this fool, but then ascribing the fool's wounding to a true father, and so now they just, I'm gonna get mine and that's it, and never understanding the true principle of what happens when you submit yourself and submit your giftings and all those things to a father. I said this, I think, on a call maybe a little earlier today, and then I'm done. He says to seek ye first the kingdom, right? And then all things will be added unto you. Now, I'm not trying to make your leader, your church, the kingdom of God. Please don't get that wrong. That's not what I'm saying. But there's a principle in there that we can subjectively extract for this moment. And that is, if I begin to put work to a vision that's already moving, then the thing that I want to happen for me will be added to me as I'm adding to something else. So the energy that I give to another man's vision, God comes back and gives double energy to my vision. And it won't be a whole lot that I'm working on myself. Because of my service, I get double service with the thing that I need. So it'll end up being added to me because I'm adding to someone else. I could probably keep talking about that, but I'm gonna stop.
That was good, sir. No, that was that. You took us there all the way. I want to ask a quick question though, Bishop. I was curious about this, and just never got around to asking the question. But for you personally, at what point did you realize? At what point did you realize your gifting? And I know a lot of your gifting had to do, I mean, you brought that out through serving, but like, at what point did you realize that it was maturing and, after Bishop called it out, but you didn't only pastor, you had more responsibility. And then when you realized that, how was that experience for you? How did you walk that out without having a prior point of reference for, a lot of things you do?
Man, good gracious. Thinking about it, sir, about makes me cry. But I mean, man, you're talking about, here's the churchy way to say it, with fear and trepidation. That's how the church would say it. Fear and trepidation. I think I had to walk in a place of trust in God. I'll never forget when I started walking in the gift of prophecy, and even standing in an office, as it were, but really exercising that gift of prophecy. And it was like, and should I say this? Is this something I should say? Okay, I'm gonna say it. But then when I said it, I felt dumb when I said it. And then, if you say it to certain Africans, they ain't gonna give you no sign, especially if you're young. They more or less look at you like you fell off a turnip truck. So I didn't get any affirmation from them as to whether or not it was spot on or whatever. And so it was literally just kind of trusting God in the moment. And oh, by the way, even getting it wrong sometimes, because God doesn't always train us in right places. He also trains us in places of failure. I think you walk in that with that banner yourself as mastering the off season. But there are times where he'll let you fall flat on your face just for you to learn from that particular step in that particular moment. And so it was trial and error. It was it was growing in a safe place. And so in my father's house, in my spiritual pastor, in my spiritual parents' house, my spiritual father's house, I could fall safely. Now, when I say safely, I don't mean that he ain't cut the heck out of me. I'm just talking about he kept me kind of safe from the world. Now, he completely cut me the way I used to get cut. People can't handle that now. They'll go ahead and move to another church the minute the cut come. They done change their whole membership, change their Facebook page, unfriend everybody from that church. I mean, everything. That's just how it was. The way I used to get cut, oh, Jesus Christ. But there was still safety within home. I mean, listen, I didn't mind my mama beating me. I just don't want her to beat. Well, I don't mind her beating me. But what I'm saying is I'll accept the beating if it's behind the door. Don't beat me outside. It's just a problem. Don't embarrass me. I'll never forget, I stayed at a party too late and at the school, and the DJ came on the radio saying, "Chris Brown, your mama's at the door." Lord, I about passed all the way out. I needed 3 Jesuses to get myself together. So yeah, you can get me, but get me behind the sanctity of our house. And so I had the opportunity to kind of exercise those gifts in the house before walking out of the house and using them there. But like I said, it was always just trial and error until I literally started getting a hold of God's voice and those unctions that he would give. See, now when I say it, I don't care what the people's face look like. I know what I heard. It is what it is, whether you accept it or not. This is the prophetic utterance. But before, I would probably be like, well, maybe I should. No. See, now it's there because I've had years of walking and learning. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not continuing to learn, because even now God is kind of speaking to me in a different way that's having me walk more gingerly than I would in just the old way that he spoke. I'd walk heavy without any second guessing. Now there's a little bit of unsurety in my footing, but I'm still walking forward. So I don't know if there's an easy way of doing it other than just stepping out. The one thing that I think we can celebrate Peter for, many preachers preach about his sinking, but you can talk all you want about his sinking. At least he had the opportunity to sink. Everybody else was safe on the boat. He at least jumped out. And so while you want to talk about his sinking, you should also celebrate his trying. So you have to try it before you can ever determine whether or not you'll walk or float. You'll never know until you step out into it and do it. But I do say do it in the safety of the house through the release of the pastor. Now don't end up becoming a parking lot prophet. Nobody released you to say anything yet, and here you go trying to prophesy to everybody. Not that, but through the releasing and the sanction of the pastor, I think working it it's a gift. Exercise the gift. Well, if you don't exercise, we all know what happens. We get fat. We get out of shape. So then if the gift is not exercised, then it doesn't work. So here's the second thing I did. When I wasn't operating in the house, I operated in my car. I operated in my shower. I got with a bunch of other brothers and of mine who are of the same age, and we exercised together. And so, man, I used to preach in the car about anything. It wasn't even about the Bible. So if the windshield wiper was going back and forth, I'd start preaching about that. And see, as the windshield wiper goes back and forth, it's taking away anything that lands on you presently. So you don't have to worry about things landing on you presently as long as you got a windshield wiper, because it's able to wipe the thing off as soon as it lands. Slap somebody. I mean, I was, that I would do that kind of stuff over and over again until it just start becoming, almost second nature. So you could throw me in any situation, in anything, and I can preach about anything. But that was because it's exercised. And I did it in my own personal moments, as well as under the watchful eye of my pastor. I don't know if I answered the question. I hope I did. I'm gonna rebuke this internet demon tonight. I hope did I answer the question? I about felt my apostolic kick in. I was like, in Jesus' name, loose it and let it go. Yeah.
No, you did answer the question though, Bishop. Yeah. Thank you for that. I just feel like us, just this generation, well, our generation, just having insight from someone who, like who's proven. That's always a help.
You're welcome, sir. Hey, Naya, got the baby? It's called millennial problems, huh? Millennial mama problems.
Hey y'all, listen. I was sitting here trying to go in at first, and then I couldn't get on through the phone, and then I tried to get on through here. It was too much. And then y'all see I got a helper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so definitely millennial problems.
It's a hand.
How y'all doing?
I'm doing good. All right. If there's no other question, I got a question. Okay, I don't see any other questions. Here we go. Since Rod kind of threw a bait out there, let's not leave it dangling too long. I ate a piece of it. Let's finish the whole bait. Talk to me about your mental space with what is currently happening in our society that has been brought upon by the murder, the lynching of Brother George Floyd in Minnesota. What's your mental space? How are you processing this as a millennial?
I'll jump out there. As a millennial, I think there's this initial feeling of hopelessness that tries to attack or jump upon you. Like, when will this end? How long can we endure this? How much more can we take? What do we do now? That's that initial thing. But as a millennial leader, you're faced with this daunting pressure. Like, there's something I'm supposed to be doing. There's a responsibility that's required of me. What do I do? And, especially if you're a millennial that's on social media, sometimes you get overwhelmed with information and overwhelmed with people's perspectives and ideas and information. And so all day long, constantly scrolling, that it's almost a requirement that you unplug, that you pull out, that you gain some other perspective, dare I say heavenly perspective, to pivot yourself or posture yourself in a way that you can clearly see going forward. I personally, I tapped into mental exhaustion today. And I didn't even realize I was exhausted. Not today, yesterday, excuse me. I had a young guy he was a white guy who from high school, and I hadn't seen this guy since high school, and he wasn't someone that I hung out with in high school. I just remember him from school. He comes in my inbox without even saying, "Hey man, how you doing? It's been a long time." He just jumped in the discussion about while on the outside, it would look like it was a good conversation about how we can stand in solidarity and how we can stand in support. And I was going it was a long message, guys. Like something like, "Why am I about to sit here and read all of this?" And my thoughts were, you want me to fix a problem I didn't start. You're asking me to because what he was asking me was to be a face of something he wanted to create that brought about racial unity. And while I thought it was a good idea, I'm like, my heart's not there. I don't feel compelled. I don't feel like it's from God. I don't feel anything connected to this besides you. This is what you want me to do. And I started getting exhausted with the narrative that Black people have to fix a problem that we didn't start. But then at the same time, feeling led and compelled to do something. It would be asinine of me to sit on the sidelines and not say anything and not do anything, because we still have a responsibility to our people. So we're trying to find that middle ground, that balance of what do we do next? Where do we go from here? What do we make of all of this? I do, however, I think it was Dr. Hart Ramsey. He mentioned that we're at a prophetic tipping point, and I would dare to say I do see the hope in it. I do see that there are more conversations being had. There are more spaces for the discussion of racism being inherently wrong in white spaces. Even today, guys, I had to type a letter to upper level management at my job about why they haven't said anything. Now, I work in homelessness services and housing, in that context, a nonprofit, and we help house homeless people. And predominantly, our population that we serve is African Americans. Obviously, the people that I work with are predominantly Caucasian Americans. Here's the issue. Why should I have to say something for you to be compassionate about the people you serve? Like, I don't understand that. And I was a little vexed that I'm even having to type a letter that says, are you going to say something? And it was just so funny. Last night, she sent an email out. Our executive director sent an email and said, I hope you guys are staying safe amidst all that's going on. Take good care of yourselves. Like, didn't address what is going on, didn't directly speak to the issue or speak to racial injustice, police brutality, the whole 9 yards. Didn't say a thing, but just said, I hope you guys are staying safe. And so it was that. Now that agitated me. It agitated me because I'm like, so you're just refusing to say something. And I think it's a mismanagement from a leadership perspective. And so now it's like, I have to figure out how to say it and also say it in a way that's not aggressive. Because, you don't want to come off as an aggressive black man, speaking to white women. So it's like, okay, let me find a way to say it in a way that's tasteful, tactful, in a way that's not going to get me rebuked or out of a job when I get back to Chicago.
Right. Wow. Yeah, no, I'm gonna wait to listen to everybody. If I start jumping in, we probably gonna get to hear about it. But that's a lot. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Rod. I can see that a lot, man. To go to your question, Bishop, the mental state as a millennial, man. This is one of the biggest. This is probably the biggest crisis period that we've experienced as millennials. So we weren't going for the Great Depression. We weren't going for even when the first economic crash hit, we were just getting out of school, and so for us, this is huge. But for me, there's a responsibility because now being a millennial, we aren't as young as we were 10 years ago, and then we have Generation X, who's at their peak right now. But we're up and coming. And so from a voice standpoint, we understand the responsibility that we have. We understand the weight of our voice when it comes to the generations behind us. Those of us who are millennial leaders, when it comes to our generation, we have a voice. And right now, just like this year alone, just in the past several weeks. With the mod, Brianna and with George, just with that, and then for us to feel like we're voiceless, that's heavy. That's heavy on a few levels. I can say for me, mentally, just being a leader, it is challenging. Like a few people have asked me, like, how are you doing? And like that's the word that comes to mind is a challenge. Like it's challenging every day because on one hand I'm emotional and I want to be emotional, but on another hand I'm a leader, and we do carry influence. So prime example at my job, I'm one of the youngest people there, but I'm also the leader in that branch, and then also I'm the young black man. So, right now the crisis is around the young black man. And so just from a leadership standpoint, that's challenging. That's challenging because like I said, on one hand, you want to be emotional as well, but then I have to lead Caucasian. I have to lead. But I stated in a conversation the other day, I go to a multicultural church. Like there's whites there, there's blacks there, there's browns there, brown people there. Listen, so there's a responsibility that just makes it different for us, and it's challenging because, but like Rod said, and I'll say this in my closing, we can talk about this all day. But like Rod said, though, I don't believe in hopeless situations. Like there are no hopeless situations. So even as a believer, we know that the death of our Savior, Jesus Christ, that was probably the most ultimate, quote unquote, hopeless seemingly situation. But even in that was the greatest resurrection of all. So I believe that as painful as this is right here, there's hope here, and we're called to bring that out. We're called to be that change. We're called to be that spark, in spite of the emotions.
Very good. I didn't think about I did, but I guess you kind of made it even more crystal with being the young black man that's the leader of that branch, and the awkwardness that can be offered to you because of that. So having to kind of navigate through, their looks and awkwardness, and some trying to be ginger. Then there are people who say things that don't know what to say. Usually saying nothing is probably best, but they offer things to put the foot in the mouth. That can be very, very challenging. Yes, sir. I hear you. Someone else hop in. Where's your mind space? Where's your mental space?
So I agree with what my peers were saying, and that was some great points. But I think for me, I've been trying to watch how much of it that I've watched, basically, how much of it I was feeding into my spirit, because the video went out about it, but like I could not make myself watch it. But even though I'm trying to guard my eye gate and my ear gate as it pertains to the things that's happening within the African American community, it's still, there's no running away from it. But I think the feelings that come to mind is very very overwhelming, and I think people within our community is I think it's turning into anger, because I think a lot of people within our community feel like there's no one to talk to, or there's no one really listening, and the people that are in higher power, they aren't really taking it serious, or the people who are doing it aren't being reprimanded or punished. And so I think that's what's making the people within the community act out of anger, and wanting something to be done to, like, can you hear me now? Can you really understand the severity of what's happening? And so I don't agree with a lot of the things that's happening, the looting, or the crime that's attached to it. But I think just the people within our community is crying to be heard, and for a change to happen. And like there are, people who aren't minorities that are asking always, what can they do to help? I think I was always taught that, silence speaks volumes. And, so if there's nothing else that you can do, speak out. That kind of helps, because if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. So I just really believe that, the people within our community is doing whatever they can do to be heard, and, I don't know, hopefully someone will listen.
I love it.
Speaking of that silence speaking volumes, I think as a person who works in law enforcement, I think silence is horrible because your silence literally says your approval. Um, so I think as a person that works in law enforcement, I have a duty and a responsibility to not only speak out, but to speak against what I see clearly as a black man, and then what I see clearly even as a person that works in the profession. So we're not trained to put our knees on people's neck. So that was the first minute I saw it. I was immediately I was angry. I was pissed because I know from experience. See, it's one thing to be a bystander, and it's one thing to be someone who's never been trained in that regard. But when you have that level of expertise, you can speak on an issue that you know for certain. And I know for certain we are trained to put our knees on the neck. And then to not only that, as as a first responder, you are obligated, right? You are obligated to to give aid to someone who says, "Hey, I'm hurting." You are obligated to give aid to someone who says, "Hey, I feel like my life is in danger. I can't breathe." You're obligated. These are just things that you know. These are just things that we have to have an obligation to respond. That's why we are first responders. So for me, I'm pissed on every level. I'm pissed from a professional level because I understand how this situation can further kind of distance the gap or widen the gap between the community and police. You get what I'm saying? So, and I looking at it in a circle, I just feel very obligated to kind of that be that spokesperson, to be that man that says, "Hey, we see it, I see it, I can agree with it, and even if no one else that works with me ever says anything, I'm gonna be the first one to say it. So I'll make you feel uncomfortable because I want you to feel what my people feel. Because before I got in this blue world, black. When I was born, I was black. You get what I'm saying? Before I decided to go and go to these trainings for months, I was already black. So everything that affects my community affects me. So if they feel, and they have every right to feel how they feel, they have every right to feel angry. They have every right to feel as if their voice haven't been heard. I've been saying this before I got in law enforcement. So it's just for me, a part of me too, and I go back to what something Rod said, I almost felt hopeless, because I kept saying to myself, well, I'm just one person. You know what I mean? I'm just one piece of a mega puzzle that still haven't been, put together because I mean, believe it or not, in this profession, speaking against certain things that happen in law enforcement, you kind of backfire. You kind of go against you. But I'm willing to put all of that on the line because I know, at the end of the day, I know that I've never seen the righteous forsaken, nor it sees begging. You understand? I know where my help comes from, and at the end of the day, if I have a chance to speak against it, if I have a chance to speak out and to publicize how one field that's in uniform, but also that is of color, but not even if I wasn't. I mean, it's clear. I mean, it was very clear, very blatant, because I watched the video, and the video upset me more than what the pictures did, than what the memes did. The video upset me more. I don't know if you guys got a chance to watch that. It's almost like a 10-minute video. But watching that video, I I became so angry because I know because I work in this profession. So you can't tell me that you can't tell me that that's a part of policy and that's okay to do. When you see the man asking for his mama, I mean, what more? I'm getting mad thinking about it. What kind of pain do a man in to call for his mother? You get what I'm saying? So I don't know. I feel rage. I really do. I feel rage, but I also feel that sense of obligation to stand up and to make a change, to do something. And that's what I plan to do. That's what I plan to do. So everywhere I go, every time I get a chance to, while I'm wearing that uniform, I make sure that I am a positive liaison between myself and the community. But people they need to be able to sense that there is somebody that's walking in that's walking in this uniform that actually care. You know, that actually care. I honestly feel as if we need to start hiring people from the communities that they serve because that'll give you a sense of I can't just do anything I want to do because these people know me. They know my family. They know you get what I'm saying. There's a level of respect and honor that you'll have for the people that you serve when they know you. And I don't know, but it's a lot of emotions. It's a lot of emotions. I feel angry, like I said, but I also feel that sense of obligation to be a spokesperson from my profession, not just from being a black man, but also with uniform.
Yeah, I know that your um, position, almost kind of like what I said for Alan, it puts you in a precarious situation because you do wear the blue, and I know that there is a certain fraternal type feeling that goes around, unspoken norms and fraternal type deals that happens in the blue. I mean, it happens in any gathering. I mean, people have those. I'm not saying that it's wrong, but I know that when one speaks out against this fraternal, unspoken norm, then they're usually, kind of ostracized because, we did this all the time, and who are you to say anything about what it is we're doing?
Right.
And I've actually picked up my prayer for you because one, I know you. So I already know if something goes to the left, well, you're gonna help go all the way to the left. And I know you, and I don't want that. I don't. And God knows I'm trying to say it without crying. I'm scared for you all. I'm scared. It's like I don't I don't know what to say or what to tell you to do to keep you protected, man. I it's like, okay, well, if I tell them this and tell them this and tell them this, well, yeah, put your hand on the dash. Well, they shooting you if you put your hand on the dash.
Right.
Uh, do everything they say. Well, they're gonna put their knee on your neck if you do that. Okay, don't run. Wh- What do I tell you to do so that you can come home? You know, and with you it goes up a level because it's almost like a double whammy, man. You're black and you're blue, and I don't want you coming home black and blue. I
Right.
need you coming home black. I need you coming home normal. And yeah, I saw your face on TV tonight at that prayer gathering, and I don't know, my heart just started kind of feeling some kind of way because I want to protect as best I can. But what do I tell you? You know what I mean? And what do I say? I got some thoughts with that, but I just the more you were talking, the more my heart started crying, and I'm leaning back and shaking. You can't see my legs. My legs shaking. I'm like, oh God, this fella, because it's such a truth. I mean, it's such a truth. It was hard for me, especially when the fraternity of blue decided not to step in when something was wrong. And I'll hold the rest of mine till at the end. Naya, if you're able to speak on it, you're certainly welcome.
Um, for me, my mindset on everything in its entirety is kind of like it has been as everybody else has said, pretty much anywhere from I've been sad, I've been frustrated, I've been angry, just pretty much any synonym that you can accompany those words with, and for a variety of reasons, obviously. Just the fact that yet again here we are with another member of our Black community, of our protect, in the sense that I put it, or in the way that I see it, being um not so much as belittled, but being in the public eye made to look small, made to look as if he can't. And when I say he, I don't mean, he himself, that has caused this whole protest and everything that's going on, but just the Black men in as a unit, um, just literally almost, it's like they're almost trying to um, make him extinct, so to speak. And it's not, we look at it sometimes and it's like, okay, we can see if certain things happen as far as like, gangs and, in the streets and different things like that. But as everybody knows and everybody sees, like, this is something, this, the person that did this is somebody that's supposed to protect our men. And as Bishop stated, and as everybody else kind of said, like, now it's like, me having brothers, biological brothers, brothers, Chris being my brother, my dad, and now even me having a son, it's like, like you said, like, what am I supposed to tell them? Do what they're supposed to do, what they say, don't talk back, kind of thing. It's like you want to give them all the right functions, but it's like even then it's still gonna go left. And it's like you just want them to come home, and you get scared when you see blue lights, especially if nothing's wrong, so to speak, and it's like, oh gosh, because your mind automatically jumps back to this tragedy. And it's really, it's painful. I was watching CNN earlier today, and one of the things that was one of the things that his brother Trevor was speaking on. He was talking about the rioting and the looting. And of course, I have a Facebook page and just kind of looking at different things. And I'm kind of like, I can't remember exactly who said it, but after a while, I had to like pull back because I literally was like in almost in tears several times. And my eyes welled up at some point, just kind of listening to his brother speak. And reason being is because, okay, listening to his brother speak, and he's just talking about how his family is a peaceful family, a God family, that they're all for the protesting, they're all for, everything just being positive in the light, in the remembrance of his brother. But then of course we have our people who unfortunately they don't know how to harbor that anger. And I'm going to use a term that Shara was using earlier. She had kind of posted on her TikTok, and she was talking about keeping your integrity while protesting. Basically, it's kind of like it's so mixed up to where we know that nothing is hopeless, but some of our fellow brothers, sisters, Black brothers and sisters in our age group, they're so infiltrated with anger that they see nothing else. They see, okay, yeah, and I hear it so much, I've seen it so much, like I said, it just as you all may have. It's like our ancestors did this, they did it the peaceful way. We are not our ancestors. Like, I've seen all this, that, and the third, but it's like on one hand, I'm I feel that, and it's like, because I've had situations before where I've acted out before thinking about, the consequences of my actions. However, on the other hand, once you grow and you're growing and you're maturing and you have a relationship with God, it's like you have to put that to the forefront and allow that to play over and over, to the sense of knowing, okay, you can be angry, but sin not. And then it's just like a lot of our millennial age group, they some of us know, a lot of us know, but then you have a mass majority who don't know. And if they do know at this point, because their relationship isn't as strong as many of ours, they literally allow their emotions to lead. And once their emotions lead, it turns into rioting, it turns into looting, it turns into destroying things that our community built. And I also saw like a couple of videos here and there where, you had some of our people that are like, protecting what they built, what they worked for, being destroyed based on something that, our people didn't do. And it's just, it's a lot. It's really a lot. It's kind of overwhelming at some point. Like the whole time all of you were talking, like I was listening, and in the same sense, like my heart started beating kind of fast, and I'm just like, gosh, like, ooh, like it's so many thoughts that come with this and come behind it, and it's so many avenues that you can kind of branch off to speak on. And I just ultimately want, as everybody does, I just want to see the proper action taken in the sense of knowing that when my brothers go to the store or go, from here to there, that they're going to be good. I don't have to worry about the person that's supposed to be helping them, God forbid, if they get a flat tire on the side of the road, coming to them because they are African American, Black, young men, that are huge for the most part, for all of them, and they're not feeling um what's the word I'm looking for? Afraid, I guess, for the lack of better words. Like they're not feeling as if they have to take action and be, allow their fear, so to speak. That seems to be one of the big words that I keep hearing as far as why the action was taken the way that it was taken, because he was a threat. And in actuality, he wasn't. His size just is what his size is. And there's a post, I don't know if everybody, I'm like a meme person, for many reasons. Like I really love memes, and I love them for the fact that because I like writing. And in school, like, we would do picture prompts. I don't know if anybody's ever done them before, but literally they would give you a picture and you kind of write a story about it. So with this meme right here that we kind of have circling around, it said something in regards of, when our men are, a certain in a certain height on a football team, they're not offensive or they're not a threat then. And it's so true, because it's just like in certain avenues, they're free to be Black, they're free to be big, they're free to be, who they are, how God made them. But in other avenues, it makes them a target. And it's like, why? So at this point, I just want everything to just kind of make sense. And it's kind of like it won't, because even after justice is given, um, and everything is kind of handled, and the smoke clears, we still have another Black man that's gone for a senseless act of whatever reason he claimed he did it for, and it's not okay. So
That's and again, listening to each and every one of you all's comment, again, it further pushes the fact that I know that we need to have more conversations like this, especially during moments and times like this. And I really wish that we had more time, and I wish we had more people on it live. They may go back and watch it on the replay, but with what you offered tonight and what you said, and even just being sometimes just expressing your feeling helps. Me having a chance to say how I feel and not be judged by it kind of helps sort through those emotions as well. And so I don't know your schedules for next week. Monday at 9, and I don't know if 9 is a good time for y'all. You, like I, probably have full days, but when it's important for me, I make time. I make time, and I think I know that this is important, and it's a conversation that we probably need to continue, because I'm sure it won't be settled through this week. And so we need action plans. And one of the thoughts that I had was, well, I got brilliant people I'm looking at right here on the screen. And maybe next week we can come back and talk about, each one of you come up with one action step that you think can happen and work in the language of your generation, so that we can translate it for every generation, for Generation X, for baby boomers, for Generation Y, that we can use this platform to maybe throw a step or two out there and then send some translation connected to it so that everybody kind of understands this is what we're saying we need to do. I appreciate you all's authenticity and your bravery in many cases. My heart hurts for our people. My heart hurts for our people. My heart hurts for our young black men, our older black men, our young black women, our older black women. All three names on Alan's shirt. I mean, and I've not even been well versed in what happened to the young lady. I'm going to have to dig and make sure that I get caught up to speed with her. I think after Ahmad, I kind of went blank, and then with George, I was so taken aback. I mean, it was just so much happening that I didn't even realize the other issue that took place there. So my heart bleeds for that. My daughter is getting ready. When she keeps asking to drive and want her license, I ain't ready for her to get it for a couple of reasons. And you know, the major reason is because I don't know what's going to happen to her if she ever gets pulled. It has nothing to do with the fact that my insurance is probably going to go sky high because she's so young. I don't mind paying the insurance money. I just don't know what's going to happen to her if she gets pulled. And as a father, that's hard, because I wish listen, that you really want to get on the other side of the bishop. You mess with my children, then the bishop is going to do some stuff. I'm not going to lay my bishop title down. With the title bishop, I'm going to kick some butt. And I'll kill you and tell God you died, kind of thing, and do your funeral. And do your funeral. I'll preach the funeral for you. They tried it. Oh, Lord. And that's why they coming to see you right now. Yeah, the kind of thing. The family might be mad at me. It'll just be what it be. but I don't know. I don't want her to drive, not because of insurance, but because of what may happen while she's out there, not from anybody else, but the people that my taxes pay to keep us safe. That's hard, man. That's a hard pill to swallow. So I'm gonna give space. We're right at a little over 18 minutes or so over our time. I want to give space for each one of you to, like we do each time, kind of have a closing thought. It doesn't necessarily have to be with what we talked about right now. I mean, it could be with thoughts you had based upon the answers I gave from the questions you asked me. It could be about what we're talking about right now, or it could just be on whatever you feel led to say to those who are listening. You know, one of the qualities of leadership, one of the major qualities of leadership, is the ability to have self-control. That one who can't control self can't lead others, and self-control isn't tested until you're pushed to your max. We can only test your ability to control your emotions and yourself when you're pushed to the edge. Don't yell about being a leader if you've never been pushed to the edge and was able to control all of those emotions during that moment. And so I know that you all are leaders and definitely rising voices in this world. We're all emotional. I want you to take control of those emotions right now and be a leader, and speak to us for about a minute or so. We'll put you on the screen fully if my internet lets that happen, and help us with a closing thought. And we can start with whoever would like to start.
I'll go ahead and go.
Okay.
Okay, so kind of bouncing off of what you said, actually, what Bishop said. in the sense of having self-control. Like we all know that this time is really chaotic, it's sad, it's frustrating, it's just overwhelming. Um, Sometimes as people we are gonna have and as leaders, because everyone watching, everyone that's here in one way or another in your life, if you haven't already gotten to that point, you will lead in one capacity or another. And always remember, while even though you don't or you may not know that you're a leader, understand that somebody is always watching you. You may not know that, but there are definitely people watching, and it's normally when you get to that point where everything is compiled and you have a explosion that you find out how many people are watching you. And what you don't want to do is explode and have to clean up a mess when all you had to do was kind of keep the cap on and just allow those bubbles in looking at yourself as a soda, allow those bubbles to just kind of calm down before taking the cap off. So just kind of as Bishop said, just work on self control, and we pray for everything else. If you need help with that, pray for that too, and look for the person or the people that you see with self control, that you see are able to control their emotions, and ask them how they do it. There's nothing wrong with looking for help to help lead. So that's what I'm gonna say.
I love it. I love it. It's better to have self control than to explode and have to pick up the pieces. All right. All right. Who's next?
I'll go, Bishop.
Yes.
Yes, sir. I believe that going forward, there is, and we'll talk next week about an action plan, but just as a sense of encouragement for millennials and those, even the Generation Z that come after us, and those that are, whose attention is turned toward millennials in this generation. I think we need a few things. We need attentiveness, we need intentionality, we need emotional maturity and intelligence, and we need self-leadership. And if we can do those things and invest within ourselves, I believe we're going to have the cutting edge and we're going to win, and you'll be on the better side. Christ is the hope of glory, and therefore we're not hopeless. Therefore we're not defeated. We're not distraught. There is another place to go. And there's another place to go for all of us collectively as a generation of people. Your voices are not muzzled. Your voices are not silent. You do have a voice. So my encouragement is to use your voice not only for uh, external purposes, but use your voice to empower yourself to continue to give it all you got. Every day that you wake up, continue to invest in yourselves, reading material, sparring with your peers and your cohorts and friends, self accountability. All of this is important moving forward, because there are targets on our back, right? Your black skin, unfortunately, is a target, and so therefore we have to do our part to be prepared for when the target is on us and to make sure we respond well. I think what this next phase is going to cause is requiring of us a well thought out and prepared response.
Yes, sir. You're gonna have to text me those points you just made because you said them so fast I couldn't write them down. So, yeah, text them to me, inbox them to me.
Yeah, Bishop. So much of this was so rich today. One of the points that you touched on whenever you gave your response to a question asked earlier was we have to do new things. We have to get out of the boat. We have to do them even in shaking and trembling. And today, that's what my charge is. My charge is to not for us not to be consumed by this, for us not to be consumed to the point that we're ultimately distracted, but to challenge ourselves to be innovative right now, to challenge ourselves to be those ambassadors for Christ that we set out to be. That we worship God, the God that we worship, the God that we represent. Be those ambassadors right now. And to do that, we have to change our perspective. We got to change our prayer style. I know myself. I challenge myself in my own personal prayer style, and I'll share it here with the listeners. And that's to, like the scripture tells us, to acknowledge God in all of our ways, and that and then He will direct our paths. I mean, right now, nothing catches God by surprise. So right now is the best opportunity. With this being, one of the biggest crises that us as millennials have been through, what better time than now to acknowledge God? God, what do you want from me? What do you ask from me? Rod said just a minute ago, we're not voiceless. We're not muzzled. In fact, this is an opportunity. So that's my challenge, is to change that perspective. It hurts, it's painful, but let's channel that energy and let's really, really make an impact, make history.
Even if it's with fear and trembling. Even if it's with fear and trembling. Yes, sir.
All right, Bishop. I just want to speak to the people of our fellow African community who are feeling sorrowful, who are feeling angry, who are feeling hopeless. I believe that I don't believe in coincidences, and I believe that everything happens for a reason. I believe that these things are COVID, all the things that's happening within the community is going to be used to draw God's people back to Him. So I believe that although you may have those emotions, don't let the things that's happening in the world just continue to flood your mind. We are in this world, we are not of it. We must remember where our help comes from, and that is from God. So I think if we put the focus back on Him and put prayer and studying His Word and just being still and know this and hearing from Him, that we'll be able to get our mental stability in a better place. So I just wanted to encourage you.
Yeah, I can just kind of tag along with that. Just remember the reason. I think what's happening is we're so frustrated, we're so agitated, and confused that we're forgetting the reason for the fight. So remember the reason. One thing that kind of just sparked in my brain was, for some reason, love. We all know what Christ is. For God so loved the world that He gave His only Son. Remember who loved you first. Remember why you feel that passion that you feel, why you feel so angry about this. Is it really because of the eternity? Is it because you love your community, you love yourself, you love that skin, you love everything that we have to offer? I heard someone said, I wish that people would embrace Black people like they embrace Black culture. And just remember, we're worth loving. And we love y'all. We appreciate everybody that decided to come on this live. But remember that, and this is scripture I want to just kind of bring up. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no regard for wrongs. So just remember, in whatever you guys are doing, remember to love. Do it in love. It's better received when it's through the conduit. Appreciate you guys.
We're in the world, not of it. And because of that, our love is different. I get it. So you guys, listen, you helped me tonight. I mean, just the conversation alone was therapeutic. And so those of you that are watching live or by replay, listen, do me a favor, follow these young people. They're not as young as they used to be, but they're still young. Follow them. They have different things going on. They'll put, if they can, in the comment, well, they can't do it in the comment box right now, but they'll go back and put in the comment box later ways to connect to them on social media. With some of the programs some of them have on this Facebook, live, you have entrepreneurs, you have coaches, you have psalmists, you have preachers, you have teachers, you have prophetic dancers. I mean, you got all kinds of things, just a conglomeration of unique giftings and gift sets. And so they'll put in the comment box on the back end how to get in touch with them to participate in any of those. And next week, if each one of them is able to come back on, maybe we'll make sure that we already have in place how to contact them so I can put it up on the screen. You know, hindsight is 2020, but I'll make sure that we at least get, if nothing else, Twitter handles and that kind of thing so that people can keep up with the great leaders that you are. And so we're going to sign off. Those of you that have been watching, we appreciate it. You guys, I want y'all to stay on. Y'all stay on after I end the broadcast. I want to say a couple of things to you. But if you're watching, join me tomorrow at 12 noon. I got my college students coming back for college, COVID, and Christianity. And listen, I already know these little lively college kids. I already know what they're going to talk about. I don't even know if I want to do the conversation just because I kind of know where it's getting ready to go. But we're just going to jump out there in the water with fear and trepidation and just see what's going to happen. We'll just see what's going to happen. That will be tomorrow at 12 noon. And then Wednesday at 12 will be my high schoolers. So it's high school shelter in place and holiness. We'll grab them on Wednesday. Also tomorrow at 7 p.m., join me with Dr. Pepe Ramnith and a panel of other speakers. We're coming together to talk about the church's response to this crisis. I know it's going to be a big, deep conversation. You need to tune in at 7 because it's just going to be trouble for the devil, that is, but trouble. And Wednesday, I'll be preaching at 7 p.m. for a church in Dallas, Texas, Bishop Blair. I'll be there with them virtually. Thursday, I forget what I'm doing at 7. I'm doing something. Maybe by then I'll know it and can announce it tomorrow. All right. So if you can keep up with all that stuff, because I certainly can't, we hope to see it. Just if you don't remember nothing else, remember tomorrow at 12 noon on this page, my college babies are coming back to do the thing. So on behalf of these millennials and millennial ministry and mess on our Millennial Monday, we'll see you all next Monday, millennials, and let's continue the conversation. If you have any questions you'd like for us to answer or for me to answer, inbox me or them, and we'll attempt to answer those things next week. Till then, God bless and good night.
Oh.
Let me end this. I'm thinking it's ended.